very wonderful webinar, a very new normal course, practice management course for the next 3 days, today, tomorrow, and Friday. We've been having it also for 3 days. Basically, it should be for 5 days, considering the content that needs to be covered, that hints on every aspect of practice. But we try to minimize it, to squeeze it, and fairly bring it into 3 days. So this year's course is hinged on a theme called Shaping the Future in Unprecedented Times. And we think, according to the times that we are in, I believe actually you are keeping safe wherever you are. This is the course that will guide us and direct us on where we should be or where we should aspire to be. For today's theme, we have a very interesting theme called Innovating for the Future. And we have lined up very powerful presenters who will give us insights that will guide our practices. So I want to thank you all. I want to encourage you to send your questions and comments on the Q&A tab. You may not use the chat. The presenter will be focused at looking at Q&A, and then he or she will answer your question. So since the CEO is available in the room, allow me request the CEO to give opening remarks as per the program, and then we continue with the next. I will also request the CEO to introduce the keynote speaker, and we move on. I wish you a very nice listening. Thank you so much. CPA Derick Nkajja, you are welcome to opening remarks. We have already 60 participants in the room. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, CPA Ambrose. Good morning, everyone. Sincere apologies for my technical challenges, and for that matter, I'm not going to put on a video. I don't want to miss this opportunity. My role is to give some opening remarks. First, I'd like to thank you for keeping safe and being able to join in today's webinar. It's challenging times, as the theme is about unprecedented times. Indeed, we are seeing things we never imagined, but we thank God that we are still alive and we're able to contribute in one way or another to the development of the country and our profession. Today's course, we call it the Practice Management course. And I don't know whether there are those who are attending it for another time or we are all freshers, but the reason why Icpa introduced the Practice Management course was as another way of increasing the awareness of what a practitioner is required to do, trying to ensure that the practitioner duly understands the capabilities required of him or her, and making sure that we can retool and those who would like to do a practice, those who are shifting from being employed to self-employed. Those were some of our main reasons why we introduced the Practice Management course. It requires a lot of self-reflection. It requires a lot of self-training, and also requires the practitioner to seek out for mentorship. Unfortunately, some people have approached mentorship as a degrading activity. But I can tell you, even as I am right now, I have a mentor, and when things are not clear to me, I bounce off my ideas to the mentor. So when we talk about mentorship, it's not like we are degrading you, but we all know that two heads are better than one. So in practice management, if we are to set out and be clear as practicing accountants, we need to have mentors. We need to have go-to people where we can help ourselves to better our practices. And also you have to remember that practice management, you are there as a business. So there will be a segment where I talk about business. I don't know that it will be expanded as before, but if you are to enter a practice, you need to know that you are in business. So at times you have to think like a business person, but you're not supposed to leave your professionalism because you are looking for money. So those are the dynamics of practice management course. As the topic is shaping the future in unprecedented times, I just want to alert you that as ICPAU, because of these unprecedented times, we are also busy working and thinking through how do we navigate practice. We are looking at so many of our members who have lost employment and they are seeking out to branch into practice. So one of the things that we are debating, and I don't know whether Ambrose, you'll create a survey. If Mark is online, you should think through a quick survey. And we do, how do we approach practice? How do we look at IES 8? I don't know whether members understand IES 8. IES 8 is about International Education Standard number 8 and talks about the quality of a practitioner, the competences of a practitioner. And we are looking at whether practice in Uganda should entirely be audit oriented, or we should also look at the other 6 areas of accountancy practice and we segment them. So that's the debate because of unprecedented times, and we would like to get some feedback along the way. As I close, I want you to remember that practice management course, you as a practitioner, if you are unable to articulate what we summarize as SM06, SM06 is a framework of the International Federation of Accountants, which talks about quality. Currently, we have 2 standards on quality that were set out. I am mixing the date of Mark, you alert the practitioners when they are coming into force, but very soon. So we need to be very sure as practitioners that we can speak about quality. One of the challenges we have, and where people are thinking that probably we don't like people to practice, is the area of quality. And I'm glad Associate Professor who's going to give a keynote speak is an author and a continuing student of quality assurance, and probably he will also put in some words. Without our practices being of quality, we are doing nothing as practitioners. Let's not deceive the public, let's not deceive ourselves, let's not bring down the name of the accountancy profession. So as you go through this, please look through the quality required for our practices, and that will help us to be a profession worthy of our name and to be able to stand as practicing accountants. I wish you the best. I pronounce the course open and started, and I wish you good endeavors in your. I wish you the best in your future endeavors. I have seen Ambrose asked me to introduce the keynote speaker. I take this singular opportunity to introduce, I don't think I've ever introduced him very well, to introduce CPA Associate Professor Twaha Kaawaase, Oweekitiibwa Twaha Kaawaase, Deputy General, Deputy Katikkiro of the Kingdom of Uganda, and the practitioner. He also represents Africa at IFAC SMP advisory group. So please be attentive. Professor Kaawaase did his PhD in quality assurance. That's why I talked about him being a continuing scholar for quality assurance. And he has a wealth of knowledge in practice, SMP, and he has seen also the big practices, and he has seen the profession around the globe. Probably one of the things I want to assure you before he comes in is that we are not sitting badly as Uganda if you take the general whole, but individually we have to put a torch into ourselves, because individually you might be very weak. But for the framework of practice, I think we are not sitting badly if you look at the globe, but individually our practices are not so good. Please welcome CPA Associate Professor to give us the keynote address. Professor, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, Derick, for those kind words, and good morning, colleagues in the profession and all other attendees. I have my video on, but when time comes for standing up, I'll switch it off. You don't want to know what I'm putting on down below the belt to the toe. I was asked to give a keynote address, and my understanding of keynote is you're supposed to whet the appetite of the audience and bring them into what they should expect. Ambrose has told us that we have 3 days. If you saw the program, I saw it. It is quite packed and very interesting, with the colleagues who are coming in with a lot of practical experience on the issues I'm going to touch on. Without much ado, I thought I was sharing. Okay, without much ado, that's gonna be the outline. I'll try to understand what unprecedented times are. I'll then go into the kind of capabilities you need to survive in unprecedented times. Then we shall look at shaping the future. You'll excuse me, I'll be a little bit inclined more to with the small and medium practices, but colleagues in the big boys, you are welcome to pick the ideas as well. We'll look at what's available on offer from IFAC, the guidance we have just briefly on how to manage our practices and be able to sail through such times. We'll look at our clients, what is available, how can we help them out in the unprecedented times. Then the host of resources we have to help out. Now, unprecedented times. Well, if you see the screen, these are times or these are events which you have never known before, something never done before, or they have never existed before. So those are unprecedented times. And basically the causes are two of those unprecedented times. We have the natural-made crisis leading to unprecedented times. And then also human-made crises leading to unprecedented times. When you go on the side of natural-made, naturally occurring events, these are extraordinary things like a natural disaster, which has never happened before, but it happens, or it happens in levels those that are beyond what we are used to. I saw rolling stones in Kaawaase. Actually, that picture there, that is Kaawaase. And I said, wow, is this happening in Uganda? That was unprecedented. It could be a disease which has never happened before. Definitely COVID-19 is unprecedented. It could be tsunamis, it could be anything. Just imagine in Uganda, if we get a tsunami here, and Lake Victoria was to go beyond its basin, you can imagine. So unprecedented times could be caused by natural phenomena. Or it could be by man-made, human. World War I was unprecedented war, using a plane to attack a target, terrorists. That was unprecedented. Man-made could be global financial crisis. That was unprecedented. It could be a severe inflation. You can ask colleagues who are in Zimbabwe what's happening to what happened there. That is unprecedented. It could be a political crisis, things you have never seen before. Having an 18-year-old, or is it a 26-year-old Katumba Oye, or 20, I don't know how old the guy is, for the president's seat. That is unprecedented. Now, these unprecedented times, they have an effect. And basically the effect is two. The unprecedented times will result in two disruptions of economic life as we know it. They will result into disruptions of human life as we know it. And all these disruptions, they lead to what we call a turbulent environment, a turbulent business environment, a turbulent human life environment, where things are happening and you have no control. You in management, you have no control. So we have no control over the changes, those fast changes, rapid changes in the environment. Definitely, coronavirus is unprecedented. When it comes to operations, in unprecedented times, maybe I can just give you a hint that you look at what we call operational capabilities. These are things you have your human resource you use to create value. These are operational capabilities. You have your equipment, you have your computers, you have your vehicles, you have your phone, you have your office. These are operational capabilities. You have money in the bank. These are operational capabilities. In unprecedented times, the operational capabilities may be eroded. You may have staff there, but they are just there in name. You may have money in the bank, but it's just there in name. You may have your laptops, you may have your computers, you may be unable to use them. Operational capabilities will be rendered ineffective, may be rendered ineffective. They can even get eroded. You just deplete your bank account and without replacement. There is no money coming in. Unprecedented times. Now, those times require us to have what we call dynamic capabilities beyond operational capabilities. Okay? You need to be able to move and convert what you have to fit the environment, that fast changing environment. It's no longer just enough to say I have human resource. It's no longer just enough to say I have computers. It's no longer just enough to say I have a car. No. Okay, these times require what we call dynamic capabilities. You must be able to integrate, you must be able to extend, you must be able to modify those operational capabilities. To take on those times head on, to be able to move on. Okay? Now, I'll just give very briefly, I'll be very brief. Take a case of adaptiveness. It requires you to be flexible these times. I am a Hajj, no doubt. During my days in my career, we used to say 311, Hajj 311. Now, here I am. I'm smearing myself with something called a sanitizer. It doesn't have 10% alcohol. It doesn't have 20, it doesn't have 30, not even 50. But the damn thing they say here is 80 wattage. If I'm inflexible and I don't smear myself with this damn thing, I'm dead meat. I have to adapt to the times. The same applies to your human resource. They have to be flexible. If they are inflexible, you won't be able to survive in these unprecedented times. If you have seen today's new vision, is it new vision? What is this thing? It's saying people should not go to the village for Christmas. Hey, where was it? I saw it somewhere that we shouldn't go. You people don't go to the villages for Christmas. That is human life disruption. If you don't go home for Christmas like you are used to, if you insist to go home for Christmas, when I say home, some people, their home is in Chadon. How can you be born in Kampala? The home is the home, the real home where you are going to be buried. Now, if they say don't go to the village, and you are used to going to the village, and then you go and you take the old lady and the old man COVID, then you are inflexible. So we need to be adaptive. We need to be adaptive. That's solution number one. It requires innovation. Innovation, we have all gone through working from home. That is being innovative. If you are unable to continue working from home, then you don't have a dynamic capability. You only have an operational capability. Operation, you have your computers, but you are unable to make them operational given the COVID-19 lockdowns, for example. Networking is one of them. Another dynamic capability. I told you the bank accounts can get depleted. Yes. I told you the banks can say they are not lending. Yes. So you need a network, social capital. You don't have to go to the bank to borrow. You go to a colleague. Some people are endowed with more money than they need. But you have colleagues who can give you money at, in my region, we call riba free. Riba is this mpaka mingu wente. This kind of, you borrow at the interest rate equal to a rabbit, but the guy wants you to pay back a cow. Mpaka mingu wente. That is riba, would be. Do you have a colleague who can bail you out without necessarily giving him riba or that kind of exorbitant kind of interest? Networking. Okay, so you call on social capital to survive, to take on the unprecedented times. So that calls a dynamic individual. That calls a dynamic capability. You need to be able to improvise. Are you able to work? They say the offices are closed, the accountants are not, we are not what they called us some funny names, that we are not essential. And then they're not giving you a sticker to go to the office, and then you sit home that I can't go to the office. Really? then you don't have the dynamic capability. You don't have what it takes to survive in unprecedented times. Walk to the office. Get a bicycle and go to the office. So these times require people to act in a normal but dynamic kind of way of operation. Okay, shaping the future. All these things are going to be elaborated. When I looked at the program, I said, wow, this is it. This is good. People should not miss. Now, shaping the future. You can't shape the future without surviving the present. Where I'm coming from was to survive. You need to be in the present. You need to be here now. Don't go under. That because you've been sacked from a job and you go back to the village. No. You have to survive now. I've given just hints of survival, a dynamic capability, a dynamic individual. Then you look ahead into the future. So, are you ready as an MP, SMP, a future ready SMP? What will take us there? A roadmap. Okay? So, we've survived now. We are here, Twaha, we are here. Now, are we ready for the future? The future is now, actually. So, we need just 4 things I'm going to touch on briefly. We need to, we shall embrace technology or change itself, first of all. Then technology, talent management, these are our people and the environment. So let me go into one by one and see. Embracing change. In my language, we say, some people, you have a fixed mind. You don't want to change. You don't want to see that things are no longer the normal thing. Yesterday I was attending a funeral. And then these brothers and sisters of mine, Muslims, they came in their droves. And they said, oh, we are going to pray, midday prayer, duhuri. And then these guys were just there. And I blasted them. I said, you guys, you are going to put your face on this mat, which is, you don't know who has touched that mat. You don't want. The president said, you go people die and die. It's not going to beg us to die. I blasted them. So people have this mind. Huh? You need to know that you are embracing change, first of all. Change is the new constant. Everything else, okay, will change except change. So the future requires us to have an open and agile mindset. Yes, doing things we are not used to. See, I myself with this word, so many things. So in our planning, we must prioritize change and plan for it. That I need to be able to work in situations when I'm unable to go to the office. That you need to plan for it. You need to dedicate time and think through the future. You need to see opportunities on the horizon. Okay? They say, the English, that dark clouds normally have silver linings. Yes, they do. It's not dark all over. At the end, at the edges, there is a silver lining. You need to be able to spot the opportunities in these COVID-19 times. And that is what I'll be talking about when I say changing to business advisory, not necessarily being into the fixation of audit. The Baganda would say, Munchamu mwe muve ngolokofu. you know, challenging times will be leading you to better times. Okay, technology. The program, we are going to go into these things, but you may be having equipment you have never known that they have capabilities that can help you out in these times. You all have mobile phones. These are phones we have been using only for taking calls, WhatsApp, but without knowing that you can actually sit in your car and conduct a meeting and business on that phone. That takes you an individual who has a dynamic mind. We've all seen virtual meetings now. This is the thing you have seen. Google Drive, it is there. You can share documents cheaply with your staff on Google Drive. Okay, so a colleague is going to be talking about technology, leveraging technology for your accountancy practice. This is Dr. Nyangenya. Don't miss those things. Me, I'm just whetting your appetite. So you need to adapt and embed technology, from the simple technology of a phone to the complicated technology of Google Drives and cloud computing and what have you. Then number 3, staff, talent management. I think the critical thing in these times is not about attendances, somebody coming to work 8 to 5. It's about clock in, you have come at 8 and then you go at 5, you are here. No, it's about output. Okay, if you have done your work and you're just preparing reports, why do you have to leave your home to come to the office to prepare the reports from the office? No, me, I just want my output. If I say I want my report, I want my report. Not that I want you in the office. No, I don't know. I don't know how you colleagues you're managing, but for me, it's not about reporting time. I'm here. Sometimes people come at 6, they go at 5, they go at 3. But once I say I want my report, I want my report. So flexibility in time management. So we have to empower our staff to be innovative. They come out, you'll be surprised with that sort of ideas people have. Listen to them to help you out in these unprecedented times. Advisory services. I think we all know, we in practice, that really money, when I say money, I'm looking at the most lucrative side of our operations is actually in the advisory services. We do audits as a passion. We do audits as a service. We do audits to add value. But unfortunately, our profession, we are not like colleagues who are the lawyers. The lawyers, they call it what? They have a scale of fees or something. I look forward to a day when we shall also have a scale of fees. So you do work, you put in your professional input, but the side of audit, the truth is, we are yet to educate our clients that, look, you're getting value for money here. They just see it as many out there. They think it is imposed on them because the bank wants audited accounts, they borrowed from a bank. Because the regulator wants audited accounts, they must file audited accounts. Because the revenue authority wants them to file authenticated accounts. We need to do more to educate these guys. That's beyond those stakeholders' requirements that they need the audits, so that they can pay us properly. So, as we educate them, we need to survive, and survival is going to be more now on the advisory service. This is a movement, for example, from transactional services to strategic services. This is where you become you excel in advising people on surviving or preparing strategic plans, winning strategic plans. We have to evaluate the services provided, we are providing. And we need to find innovative way of marketing ourselves. You know, we are not like Mama Fina, who must go on the radio and say, Mukama na Ayamba all the time, Mukama na Ayamba, people are, you know, advertising all sorts of things to help you overcome the impotence caused by COVID. Mukama na Ayamba. We can't do Mukama na Ayamba on TVs, but how do we market ourselves? Okay, I always say you need to be in the right place at the right time. Okay, many of you are yearning to come into practice, but how are you going to be known? How is so? You need to come out and participate, for example, in these forums. Okay, make a presentation to us. Go to Rotary International, make presentations there. You know who is in Rotary? These are tested people with opportunities. Be there, be visible. You may consider moving into a niche market. What are you good at? Are you a jack of all trades? Or you can specialize. You may say, I'm going to be good at NGOs or schools or anything, a niche, so that you excel in that market and be the champion of that market, be the leader. Okay, this, I'm not going to spend much time on this. IFAC has done us good with the SMPs and anybody who would want to really sail through management of a practice. There is a publication, a guide to practice management, freely available. It talks about those 8 chapters, how you plan for your strategically for your firm, the practice model you are going to adopt. Are you going to be a sole trader? Are you going to be in partnership? Are you going to go for a network? The expansions you are going to adopt, how you manage the people, how you choose what technology you should have, how you manage your clients, and risk management, and of course, things we normally don't want to talk about, succession planning. Did you start your firm to collapse it, or you want to see the firm to continue beyond you? Why can't Kaawaase continue beyond us? The vision is must. Price was a person, I always say. Water was a person, I always say. Cooper was a person. Deloitte was a person. Ernest was a person. Young were a person. Yeah, and they're still here. So how did they do it? Okay, so these things, they are available, and we can actually tap into them and see how we can move our firms forward. To our clients, we know very well, we the small firms, we are the choice of small and medium enterprises. Many run to us for advice. And in that advice, again, the IFAC has given us a checklist of how we can advise these small firms. It is not exhaustive, but it gives you a starting point on how you can advise a small that requires you now, these unprecedented times, on how to prepare 3 months, 6 months, and 12-month cash flows, forecast, and scenario planning, how to advise on accessing the many, when I say many, I don't know in Uganda whether there are many actually, the bailouts which are available, the grants and subsidies and loans, reschedulings, all these things are available on how you can advise SMEs to approach the windows that are being opened. I heard about schools that the government is thinking of putting up a rescue fund for schools. So that is another business for us. Schools will need to prepare themselves and get access to that fund. How to review working capital needs, debtors management, creditors management, and meeting debt covenants. All these things are available. So I'm not going to spend much time on it. I'll just give you where to find them. So colleagues, I want to welcome you officially to a fast-moving future, fast-moving times we are in. We need to recognize that we firms, we are different, and what works for me may not necessarily work for you. It will take, for example, we are in different life cycle of our developments as a firm. Some of you are just starting. Others have been in the business for us more than 30 years. It also takes the partner's motivation. Why are you in practice? What motivated you to come? Are you here because you lost a job? Or you have a passion for something? You must have a passion for something. You must be having a passion for the profession. You must be, you don't just be there as a by the way. Then you won't succeed. What is your size? What services are you providing? Who are your clients? What, their types and numbers. All these things will differ, but in general terms, they can help us. So we need to see the opportunities on the horizon to be able to move, to survive and move forward in these fast changing environments. So there is no doubt we have to transform our practices. If you are entering practice now, think through before you take the route of a sole trader. Yeah, before you take the route of a sole trader, are there people, are there colleagues, one or two of like mind you can actually associate with? Okay, so that you hold each other's hand to be able to move through these turbulent environments. It is a situation that I said may erode all your operational capabilities. For example, the bank accounts may be eroded. Your savings from the pension you have got from wherever you have been employed may get eroded and you're there alone. So think through and see that before I go it alone, are there colleagues we can work together with to pull our social capital together and be able to move forward. So planning for success is not, you don't just jump into the deep end and start swimming. No, think through and plan for it. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts. And I look forward to enjoying the forthcoming presentations as well. This presentation, I'll forward it to ICPAU and they will share it with you. It has a lot of other information, resources at the back of a lot of things where you just go in and on the gateway website of IFAC and get a lot of stuff, members. So thank you very much, ICPAU. Thank you very much, colleagues. And may God bless you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Associate Professor. May God bless you too. We thank you for the wonderful keynote on shaping the future. Normally for the keynote, there may not be questions, but in case you have a burning comment, you may post it in your Q&A and the professor may comment on it. Thank you. I don't see any comment. So I believe the message was straight and it has been absorbed by the participants. We thank you so much and we wish you a nice listening. We hope you will be with us today in this first day and possibly tomorrow and then Friday. Thank you so much, Professor.
Yes, I'm here.
Our next presenter is, yeah, welcome, sir. Allow me to introduce the next presenter. The next presenter is CPA Jet. Let me share the screen for his, yes. Our next presenter is CPA Professor Dr. JT Nyangenya. JT Nyangenya is a member of the CPA Kenya. He's also has done a certified public secretary of Kenya. He also did a postgraduate diploma in tax administration. He did also certified investments and financial analyst course. And he recently completed the certified tax advisor course of CPA Uganda. Dr. Nyangenya is a member of the institutions you can see there. Number one is a member of the Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Uganda, Institute of Certified Public Accountants of Kenya, Institute of Certified Public Secretary of Kenya, Institute of Internal Auditors of Uganda. He's also a member of the Institute of Corporate Governance of Uganda. He's a member of the Kenya Institute of Management Institute, as well as the Institute of Human Resource Management. Dr. Nyangenya, you are welcome. Join me, members, wherever you are virtually, to welcome Dr. Nyangenya to talk about the leveling technology for your accountancy practice. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Am I heard? Good morning.
Yes, you can put the presentation in a slide show.
Yes. I'm going to manage that. Good morning, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for that kind introduction. As introduced, I'm Dr. JT, representing JT and Partners, formerly JT Nyangenya and Associates. We are located at Tidatu Road, Naguru. Before I continue, I would like to congratulate my senior associate Prof Twaha for that kind remarks on our PMC training today. Indeed, you have set the pace for the PMC training. At JT and Partners, our motto is always saying that everything we do is peculiar. And our credo is do the hard right instead of doing the easy wrong. Today, I'm going to talk about leveraging technology. How can SMPs, practitioners, leverage technology so that their practice is successful? I have an hour for this presentation. I think I'll take 45 minutes. That should be by 10:45 I should be done. And then 15 minutes should be for the Q&A in case of any. I think that is in order, Ambrose.
Yes, Doctor.
I'll start my presentation by a quote from one of the magazines that I love reading, which says, employees will be doing things in new ways, some of which will make CFOs uncomfortable. Finance talent models are evolving quickly, with a premium placed on data scientists, business analysts, and storytellers. All of your people should be able to contribute to elevating the value of finance in terms of communication, impact, and influence. Make every new hire count. That is a crunch time for accountants. Both the accountants and auditing function needs to automate some of its repetitive tasks or transaction or processes or system. As SMPs, we are lagging behind in automation. So we need to find out which automation. Today things are evolving, and I will want to start from a low note of saying, what were our top 10 skills of employers need in 2015, and what do they need now? And you'll see as time is evolving, things are changing, staff are changing, technology is changing. Last year, same time like now, we were having a fiscal meeting in one of the biggest hotels in town. But now we are having our meetings from our small room in our bedrooms. The way Dr. Twaha said, Professor Twaha said, he doesn't want to show the top part, the lower part. He needs to sit fast and finish and switch off the video. Things are changing. You can have a meeting now while driving at home in a jam. Same applies to auditing needs, to accounting needs. What do we need as SMPs? You know, in 2015, creativity was number 10, but in 2020, creativity is number 3. In 2010, active listening was number 9. In 2020, active listening is not in top 10. You know, negotiation in 2015 was number 5. Negotiation in 2020 is number 20. What does this one show to us? Critical thinking in 2014 was number 2. Critical thinking in 2020 is number 2. You see, things are evolving. 1 year is good enough to make something change. In 2015, coordinating with others was number 2. In 2020, coordinating with others is number 5. Most likely in 2021, coordinating with others will be out because you'll be coordinating using technology. Is your need as a law firm, as an audit firm, is your need as an enterprise, as a firm, remain the same? Then if it has remained the same in 1 year, you are the problem. And that's why we come for PMC, to learn or to share with our colleagues what is changing. The CFO today means that he needs to evolve, and it has included from value creation, insight and forecast. You have to be a business partner. You have to include strategy. And an accountant, an auditor as an advisor role has changed to a traditional one, where you have to go and do bookkeeping, or you have to go and sample and do your audit, prepare the financials and move. You have to include your audit practice and map it to strategy. You have to evolve with time. IT is core. Data analytics is core. You go to a small company, the transactions are big. If you have to go manual, it take you a month. If another practitioner comes, it will take a day because he has embraced data analytics. He has embraced IT. The CFO team today has evolved, and it's going to evolve. And that's why in our discussion, we have to know, what do we need to have as PMC or as SMPs? You know, it is very, very, very core. Robots cannot do everything. Yes, robotics is there, artificial intelligence is coming, but it can't do everything. We need to know all these dynamics. Managing and developing people. The automation is at 9% potential. 91% is manual. So we have to know which tasks are automated, which tasks can be automated, and which tasks cannot be automated. What is the leverage on that? Decision making, planning, and creative work is at 18% automation potential. That means even if technology has replaced some of the activities, even if technology has replaced some of the tasks, there's some tasks like creative work which cannot 100% be automated potential. The report you have given today should not be the same report you have given out tomorrow. It should not be the same report you will give out next year. That is the innovation we're talking about. Which side are you? Are you the person who will say, I am taking an advanced analytics course and working with IT and my senior team to implement data analytics function? Or you are the person who will say, I am going to get my IT department handle and implement my data analytics function. It is not my job. Which area, which side are you? You'll either evolve or you'll be left behind. This is something as SMPs, this is something as practitioners we need to be. I have interacted with many practitioners. They know only basic Excel, they know only basic Word. PowerPoint is a problem. We have moved from a point where we are doing our proposals using Microsoft Word. I have seen some IT tech people using InDesign. You have to go and do a course in InDesign. You have to complement your proposals. You have to complement your presentation with what is called infographics. You know, people are now tired of reading. People now want to see photos. People want to see another way of doing things. If you send me a report or send me a proposal of 300 pages and everything is verbose, the chance of going through now or the chance of being read or the chance of the proposal being read probably is 20%. But if the document, the proposal is 30-paged, infographics, graphics, you know, photos, using evidence on the ground, using video, using, you know, the probability of the proposal going through is high. So you either evolve or you get left behind. Where are we? These are some of the activities which have been automated, and the probability of being automated is low. On your left, you'll see difficult to automate, somewhat automatable. On your right, you'll see fully automatable and highly automatable. All of us need to know that a repetitive task should be automated. Something like general accounting operation. This is fully automated. For example, bank reconciliations. For example, debtors aging. For example, creditors aging. For example, mapping your trial balance to your audit tool. You know, those issues are easily automatable. Cash disbursement, automatable. Revenue management, automatable. Financial controlling and external reporting, you know, automatable, right? If at your firm at this level, you don't have an accounting software, I didn't say an ERP, I have said an accounting software that can manage the basic, like general accounting operation, your fixed assets, your balance sheet, your P&L, your cash flow, your aging, statement, you are doing an invoice from the system, you are doing your disbursement from the system, you can say you are 50%. But if you're an SMP and you don't have an accounting software, you should do what is called a retrospective analysis of your practice and your structure. This is the time when you're vouching. This is the time when your invoice should be automated. Then the second level is financial planning. As you are seeing, as we are going to more complex decision or complex activities, some of the activities are automated, some of the activities are not automated. The financial planning analysis, treasury management, you'll see the 43% is somewhat automatable. There we can discuss. Risk management, somewhat automatable. Audit is 40-40. 10 fully automated, 10 highly automated, 40 somewhat automated, 40% difficult to automate. Why 40, why 40, why 10, why 10? You know the audit process and audit methodology. Some of them you need the judgment of the practitioner. You need to understand your approach and you need to automate it. When it comes to reporting, it is automated. But when it comes to the approach, how do you map your client? And remember, client A and client B, the approach, the tasks, the complexity of transaction, the complexity of data differs. External relation, you cannot automate your relationship with the client. Yes, you can tell your client, feed your information, feed your biodata, feed this, but the relationship is for the practitioner and the client. So it is the high time for practitioners to know what is subject for automation and what is subject for not automation. You look at business development. You cannot rely on automation for business development. Business development is purely your skill and what you have done before. And this business development will depend on your activities which you have been doing in your firm. So it is good as SMPs to know what is automatable and what is not automatable. You know, the accountant as business partner is essential. We need to know as accountants, as business owner, on what are we going to automate in this line so that we can give value, we can create value, because it's one of our role to create value to our partners, to create value to our businesses, to create value to our stakeholders. I don't want to have a scenario whereby ICPO is coming to inspect me or ICPO is coming for evaluation. Sending data, sending information, giving the list of requirements takes you 1 month or 2 months. That's value creation. You need to create value creation to your firm. You need to create value creation to your stakeholders. You need to create value to your clients. You can only do that if some of your activities are automated, if some of your activities are mapped, some of your processes are mapped to your activities. You know, accountants must move up to the value creation, performing high value added work. You cannot add value creation to any business if you're manual. Yes, you can be manual. Yes, you can add value, but the person who has added technology in his processes and system will give more value to his stakeholder than you is manual. Accounting value proposition can be defined by strategy formulation, analysis, planning, and execution. And all these three proponents must be automated as per this line, which I've given you. The roles of accountants today is being a steward, being an operator, being a strategist, and being a catalyst. Where do you fall? Are you a steward? Are you an operator? Are you a strategist? Are you a catalyst? If you're a steward, how many functions have you automated? If you're an operator, how many functions have you automated? If you're a catalyst and your work is cascading your activities upwards, what have you done? You know, in this world, nothing is permanent. You know, nothing is permanent. WhatsApp killed BlackBerry Messenger. YouTube killed DVD. Bluetooth killed infrared. Xender killed Bluetooth. CDs killed cassettes. eCard killed Hallmark. Maggie killed Dawa. Email killed fax. Those days, our parents used to have one fax in town where all of them will run every month to go and receive their fax. Now you can easily email from comfort of your phone. You can be at home at sleep and the email comes and you respond immediately. Uber killed Yellow Cab. Phone killed post office. WhatsApp killed a phone, now messengers. SMS killed letter writing. WhatsApp killed SMS and letter writing. You know, everyone now is on WhatsApp. You can now change any document to PDF or Word if your phone is enabled with Microsoft Office packages. You can send your Word document, edit and forward back. This was killed by WhatsApp. Things have changed now. Facebook has changed most of social media. Now you can even do an advert in Google. You can do adverts all over. Civilization killed our culture. Kids now are all over on TVs. Professionals cannot do anything. You know, civilization killed our culture. You know, computer killed typewriter. Android killed the Windows phone. Money killed the true love. These are facts on ground. What else killed what? Internet killed the library. Few of us go to the library. Me as an academia, I can access all the scholarly work on my phone. We subscribe to different journals. I don't need to go to Makerere University now. You can subscribe, pay your annual fees. We don't have the other cash now. We don't have now Visa card. You can pay online using Bitcoin. You know, you can now watch TV a day, start times, an hour, close and move on. Google killed dictionary, right? Now, if you are going to ask somebody, what's the meaning of peculiar? Everyone knows the meaning of peculiar after Googling. Things have killed things. Wikipedia has killed encyclopedia. I have to put a disclaimer. We doctors, we don't quote anything from Wikipedia or encyclopedia. You have to quote from books. So all these things have been killed by something. Then, if these things have changed, that means even evolving competence for accountants have changed. And that's why we are saying we have to leverage technology for us to be competent. No simple audit solutions are going to remain. Things have to change. Many jobs today and many in the near future will require a specific combination. We don't employ now auditors or accountants who don't know how to handle Excel sheet, who don't know how to handle advanced Excel, or who don't know how to type. These are the things we need. All these are technological, right? The soft skills, such as technology, such as running a pivot table, using a slicer, you know, in Excel, you know, running combination of formulas, of function, you know, running if function, running some if function. Product, you don't need to have a manual. You know, you find somebody with a laptop, with an Excel sheet, an audit, an accountant. But again, he has bought a calculator. We don't know that Excel sheet can do all of this. Technological know-how is very, very important in our problem solving and critical thinking. All of us accountants, all of us auditors, all of us practitioners, we need to understand or to embrace technology, from simple Excel, basic Excel computation to modern. This takes me then, what is technology with that background? Technology is the use of scientific knowledge to create tools. That means you must have scientific knowledge to create tools. That means if accountants can use our knowledge and we create accounting tools, we create auditing tools, we qualify to be scientists. And then we move to information technology. Information technology is a broad class of technology based on machines that process data and perform computation or calculation at high speed. These are computers. Previously, we used to do our payrolls in a book. Pay as you earn, we compute. Now we have formulas. You can use if function to run all your computational payroll. You can use Excel to run all your financial needs. Accountants, we process data. Accountants, we perform computation. And if you have high speed of computers, your work will be easy, simple, and straightforward. The only need we now need to add is to incorporate the standards, incorporate the creative thinking to this. This is a wave of new technologies. And in my research study, identified tech technology that will shape the business landscape in the next 5 to 10 years. Number one, mobile phone. We have moved from cabinet to now to more advanced phone. Phones that can do transaction, can do tasks, can do activities like a computer. So mobile is another landscape which is going to change. So you can embed your activities, your tasks as a practitioner using your mobile. Big data. All SMPs, we need to embrace big data because each transaction of big data, each companies we go, they have data. So we need to have tools that can convert that into your big data analytical tool. You can make your sampling easy. You know, you don't need to use when Icpa technical team come to inspect, I always show them how I do sample. You can even use an Excel sheet, random sampling. You can use an if function, say, if the balance of customers is more than 50, because your materiality is 50 million. If the transaction is more than 50 million, sample. Run the if function. It will give you all the data which you need to be sampled. You don't need to go one by one, voucher by voucher, or transaction by transaction. If a client gives you 1,000 cells of data, you just have to type. 1 second is done. Big data analytics. It will increase our efficiency. It will increase our effectiveness as SMPs. Artificial intelligence, AI, and robotic process automation. It is coming. I've seen most of our SMPs have a website. Most of our SMPs have emails. Most of our SMPs, we have online presence. The question is skill involved in our technologies. The risk appetite on our technologies, which one are we going to take? Cloud is coming, payment systems now. You can pay your membership from home. You don't need to go to the bank and queue and expose yourself. I'm glad ICPA has evolved also. Their payment system is good. You can check your settlement from a click on your data. What about virtual? You can see we are in virtual, talking directly from my bedroom. Social media has evolved. These are the 10 things which are going to shape our profession in the next few years to come. I skipped number 5, but let me go back to education technologies. How are we going to do exams? This is a challenge to all of us. ICPA being one of a body which is offering exam. How are we going to do education? I lecture online. Put my I put my podcast online. It goes to BNI University, where it is where I lecture on, or I get my education from. You cannot move to the next step if you have not attempted a question, and it's timed. Technologies are going to change. Now COVID has come. The traditional schools have been forced to pick on online studies. I'm not sure about government, how they are going to adopt it. But some of the private educational institutions have picked up the opportunities. And they've taken it. And I've seen most people making a kill. 1 week study is around 50,000. A month, if you're going to subscribe for a full year, they tell you 100,000. You know, The only thing the education is going to invest in is infrastructure and the software. Then all of you, all of us, study this from our intake. These are most important thing. Artificial intelligence and robotic process automation. The basic things as practitioners we need to know that anything that is routine, anything that is repetitive, anything that is labor intensive, any processes, any task that is repetitive must be automated. If you want to leverage technology, you have to automate routine activities, routine tasks, repetitive activities, labor-intensive tasks, and process. For example, computation of materiality is something that is routine, repetitive, and labor-intensive. The only thing that you need to feed in is input. What is my asset value? What is my sales value? What is my expense value? What is my net profit, depending on nature of industry and sector, and your materiality is computed. Sampling is a routine activity. I don't need to see anyone ticking that let me sample this, let me sample this, let me sample this. No. After you have got a trial balance, a soft copy in PDF, you upload in your database. Materiality is computed. Risk matrix appetite is computed. Sample is done. Transaction to be checked is done. Voucher numbers are put. You know, everything is summarized in probably 5 pages. When you go to a client, you know what to ask, right? If you are going to test your general ledger with, let me say, a ledger which you are being given, or with the trial balance, it is sharp. You say, you link, you put a function, you put a formula, and then you link to the other side. You can use even an Excel link, and you will know it's automatic. You don't need to demarcate it or to map it manually. This will enable you to reduce operating cost and increase efficiency. And you can be able even to provide 24 hours mobile services. This will also enable you to develop new products and services. You know, you can even be giving revenue assurance using this big data. And without you knowing, you would have scaled up your operation and you will have given extra value from existing investment using technology to your client. So I urge everyone to take keen of artificial intelligence and robotic processes, or automating your activities using even a simple Excel, a simple database which you can use Microsoft Office Access, and all your activities will be wow. You make a report, you go to a client and say, a client says, this is well researched. Prof has been talking about advisory and assurance. Let's be talking about, if I want to check, let me compliance advisory and the client is going to give VAT, for example. I don't expect a practitioner to download work from URA portal in PDF and then print it out. I expect a practitioner to use a PDF to Excel and then use big data analytics to run all the customers who have filed, all the payable in a click. You know, this is the benefit of AI or whatever, or big data analytics or technology. As a firm, as practitioners, what is our firm strategic objective? What is our firm? Because you cannot computerize your activities if from top level, where they call tone at the top, is not aligned. Tone at the top is very, very important as a firm. What is your objective? What is your target benefit from the objective? Don't wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to automate my activities. No, you have to derive each activities from strategic objective of a firm. The way Prof was saying, are you a sole proprietor? Are you a sole partner, or you are a partnership, or you are multiple partners? As a multiple partners, as a sole practitioner, what objective have you given in terms of automation? What objective have you given in terms of business? What is your business strategy? Do you have a vision? Do you have a mission? Do you have your company or a firm credo? Do you have your values? Do you have your strategic objective? If yes, you have the strategic objective, what are those strategic objectives? That's how you evolve. That's how you pin out your core activities. For example, one of your mini objectives can be to support and enable a modern and flexible business operating or operational model. Yes, modern and flexible business model. What does it mean? Obviously, when you put that one, you'll have activities. I have to automate, I have to, those are activities, strategic activities. What can be another example of a business firm or a firm? To reduce complexity in business operation. True, you want to reduce complexity. For example, I don't want to be running to the bank checking my bank balance. There are people who are always on phone. What is my bank balance today? The next day is calling in the bank. Yet you have an online banking system. Yet you can have your statement derived in an app on your phone. Yes. Revenue assurance, how does it pay? How is the customer paying? Right? They have given you a post-dated check. How will you deposit the check? When are you going to deposit the check? Reduce the complexity. They have given you a PD check, which is maturing on 15th November, but you don't have a system that is going to check it. Now it is already 7th, it is 8th today. You have not, today is 9th December. You have not deposited the check because it's manual. You have a manual book somewhere. Friends and practitioners, this objective is stone at the top. In strategy, we call them, in governance, we call them stone at the top, across business, operational, and finance. This is not an objective you're going to give an audit manager. You're going to give a senior, you're going to give an associate. This is an objective which is done at the top, at the practitioner's level, at the partnership level, at the board level, at top management level. And then you cascade it down with activities, right? Another objective can be, I need to modernize my system, mitigate operational and security risk, and drive operations. Yes, modernize systems, mitigate operational and security risk. Yes, we have emails, we send data, we send risky information, we send confidential information without a password. Yes, your website is up, but it's not protected. This starts from top, tone at the top. When you have well-aligned objective, you can now have a targeted benefit. I have brought 3 wide instrumental benefit that any firm, whether big, whether medium, whether large or multinational, can derive itself from aligning its technological objective to targeted benefit. For example, if I want to support and enable a modern and flexible business operation, my benefit will be I need to have new capabilities in reporting and visibilities. Assume I'm in this webinar today and I want to know if my staff has entered in my client or they're in a meeting. And I have a software. When he open his laptop, all the software shows JT has logged in. JT is working on this file. Today he has worked on 10 vouchers. We have those transactions or those activities, even in small accounting like Audit Trail. You can know how many transactions your staff has done today. Imagine some of us who outsource accountancy and your staff has gone out When he has gone out, it tells you I've worked from Monday to Friday. But when you check on Audit Trail, there are no transactions posted. How will you make that activity to be automated? You need to automate it, and it comes, poop. Jeff today has worked on 10 transactions. 10 transactions for me, I can do it in 10 minutes. So what happened to 8 hours? So new capabilities in terms of reporting and visibility enables the company to have value from the staff, value from the stakeholders. You have gone to a client, the client has not sent a third-party confirmation. The client has not sent a cash certificate. But for you, you don't even remember when you sent that query. With automation, with this new capability in terms of visibility and reporting, at any given point, digitized system, you can know what is the pending information. Some SMPs have signed off reports. Some SMPs have signed off, they have closed off their account, they have archived their working papers. But waking up in the morning, they don't have checklist. They have forgotten letter of representation. They have forgotten a bank confirmation. They have forgotten cash certificate. They have forgotten even to get evidence from the field. These are real things on the ground. So when ICPA come to audit, that's what they say, oh, I forgot. Oh, I did this. Because we have not mapped the new capabilities. We have not integrated our business process with what we are doing on the ground. Financial reporting is a problem. You find I'm doing an audit firm or a law firm audit, but the presentation of the report is like a company. This is a problem. You have not digitized. You have not automated. Friends, it is high time we aligned our objective, our business strategy to our objective and to our targeted benefit, and then we link it to our efficiency and operational efficiencies. The second point, which I want to go to, improve by automating the repetitive task. It will streamline your customer relationship. It will improve on your projection. Then you can have seamless integration with office tools. If a client has sent me a letter of representation, I can download it in PDF. I can map it. I can say this is the reference point of this, and I take it as done and mark my checklist. Friends, automation will reduce, will mitigate your risk. You need to have current updated systems, system architecture that efficiently and effectively support you. Robust and transparent user security will help you in mitigation of risk. And this means automation. Let me take you through some of the best audit and audit software. These are known best audit software. We have Caseware, which you can pay per person per annum. If you have that one, your work is automated. We have Idea. We have Audit Dashboard. We have Optimal Smart Start, Master Control Audit Management, Sphere, SuraLink, 360 Factors, Teammate Plus Audit, iAudit, Amateur, ACL. ACL is one of the best big data analytical tool. If you're going to audit big firms, you're going to audit big telcos, you must have ACL. You must have this big softwares. We have Procipient, we have eData now. We have GenSuite, we have RCAP, we have LAS, we have AuditMe, we have that DoubleCheck. Now we have WeAudit. As an audit firm, which software are you using? As a practitioner, as an SMP, which audit software are we using? The best thing with this audit software, you have to get a backup from your stakeholder and you just map it inside your software. And it runs from working papers, from linking, from referencing to sampling to those things you have to do once. Everything will be automated. If you don't have this, how is your Excel sheet? Is your Excel sheet automated? If your firm cannot adequately afford this, then Is your Excel sheet automated? We can use Excel sheet if the budget cannot allow you to pick this one. What about accounting? I know we are talking about audit. We have also talked about accounting. What are the best accounting software? Don't tell me QuickBooks, Tally, Sage, Microsoft Dynamics. We have more than 100 softwares we can use for our clients and ourselves. We have Zero. Zero is an online. We have Sun System. We have Zoho Books. We have Wave. We have FreshBooks. We have Flex Financial Suite. We have Unite for Financial. We have Profit Books. We have SAP. We have NetSuite. We have Cougar Mountain. We have Descara. We have Maestro Suite. We have Vena Solution. We have Divi. We have Acumatica. We have Deltec. We have Need Small Business Solution. We have BC Accounting. And then we have the so-called Activo. These are part of the accounting packages. We have MR Accounting. We have Ledgerlight. We have Pitbull Tax. We have Sasu. We have Simple Books, CountMate, Traverse Odo Accounting, Cash Flow Manager, Express Accounts, Each Cash, Cashbook, Receipt Bank, Process Accounting, SlickPie, Activity HD, and Accounting Expert. Workday Financial Management, Outright Accounting, Zap Accounting, Dasco Accounting, Big Red Book, Omni Accounts, and Legio Financial Suite. And then we have Fisk. The list will go on and on and on. My friends, I'm telling you, we have more than 200 versions of accounting software that we as accountants, we as practitioners, we as auditors, we need to leverage so that we can make our work easier, seamless task, so that we can make our work efficient and more transparent. Panorama, one of the biggest consulting firm, ranks the accounting software into 4 tiers. They say we have tier 1, we have upper tier 2, we have lower tier 2, and tier 3. When you look at the ranking, it's almost the same as the ranking of Icpa. And I'm praying that it reach a time when Icpa on their ranking, they will be saying one of their tick box will be which software are you using in accounting and which software are you using in audit, or which Excel sheet are you using and what is automated. This way will help our quality to go up. You don't need to buy a big version. You can only use an Excel sheet and automate it. Now, what are they saying? In tier 1, they're saying SAP, Oracle Cloud, Info LN are tier 1. This can be like our big 4 in audit firms, you know. Upper tier 2, these are organizations which are small SMEs, which can use Microsoft Dynamics, finance and operation, Sage Enterprise, you know. Lower tier 2, these are Info Cloud Suite, IQMS, Microsoft Dynamics 365, and CPRO. Tier 3 are the normal CGRP and UpTeam. That means the accounting part of the accounting packages, which I've told you, I've shown you up here, are tier 4 and below. They're not even ERP, the accounting package. Yes, is a technology that can help you. This ERP is a leave these big companies, not only in audit firms, because there are audit firms which give advisory to these big firms. So as a big firm, you need to look through where does your stakeholder fall, where does your client fall before you start advising where to go. So I'll take you through this very fast. An ERP, all of us know, is integrated from finance to operation to project to production to logistics. And I'm telling you, an ERP does not only operate in big firms, it can also operate in a firm itself, from customer relationship, from your processes, from your accounting to your human resource to, you know, to administrative activities. You need an ERP. You invest some money and you'll be happy on this. That's how an ERP looks like. An ERP has all those core capabilities. It has financial management, it has sales, it has projects. You can have a project, you know, like system audit somewhere. An ERP will have to track you. You human resource, your staff, inventory management for your client, cost management for you, for yourself, purchase procurement, quality management. All this you need an ERP. Yes, it's a traditional thinking, it's a traditional perception that ERP is only for the big firms or for the big companies. Yes, even an SMP can have a simple ERP which can help you grow. You know, these are the things that you can include on your ERP. Customer relationship management, human capital, your assets, you know, your service information management, your product management, quality assurance, you know, supply chain, you know, transport from here and there, warehouse. We have people who are selling QuickBooks, people are selling other accounting packages. You need to track all of this. Vendors landscape is changing. And as an audit firm, you need to know where you're heading to. You have to set your objective. I'm taking you back to the original one. You need to set back your objective. You need to know the benefit, and then what are their key drivers, examples. If you don't have your key driver, you cannot have activity benefit. You don't have activity benefit, you can have an objective. You don't have an objective, you don't have a business strategy. So as you're starting your SMPs, friends, practitioners, make sure you have all of this stuff. What is my call to action tonight? Everyone must pivot to technology. We have practitioners might be the boomers, 50 to 74, or they're going to be Generation X, or they're going to be Generation Z, or they're going to be Generation Y. Definitely, and most likely, and I'm 100% sure that most of our staff are Generation Y. Most of our top management most of our staff are Generation Y. And our prospective staffing in the next 2-3 years are Generation Z, because they're under 21. All this in their mind is technology. The staff will come, Generation Z will come, or Generation Y will come into this competitive market. They are open to tech processes. And then you're giving him vouching, paperwork. Yet for him, he wants to line computers. You know, they want to align computers with your processes, yet you are giving him manual work. That stuff will never stay with you for even a month. Part of our turnover in Generation Z is because we have not embraced technology. Friends, practitioners, Generation Z who are under 21 are digital native. Their mind is always in computers. Their mind is always in tabs. Kids now are studying using tabs. And then they come to workplace, you're giving them vouchers and books and paperwork, which they are not used to. They will laugh at you and they will exit. Friends, you need to know which generation we are. We are not boomers, we are not Generation X. We are in Y and Z. The entrepreneurs, the SMPs might be in boomers and Generation X, but the staffing are in Generation Y and Generation Z. We need to embrace technologies. We cannot run away from it. Thank you very much. Friends, technology is relevant to all of us. Technology is appropriate to all of us. We need to embrace it. Thank you, ICPAU, for giving me a chance to share partly on automation and how practitioners are going to embrace technology to improve their processes and have their system efficient and effective. I pray that all of us, in bare minimum, should automate our workbooks in Excel, our Microsoft Word, and small database for Microsoft Access. Thank you very much for listening to me. Over to you, the moderator.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor, for a wonderful presentation. We are very grateful. This is now time for question and answer. I encourage you participants to send your questions to Q&A, type in your question, then the doctor will be able to read them and respond accordingly. I hope, Doctor, you are able to see those questions. There is one from CPA James O'Carroll, who is asking, Doctor, what is the exact IT or computer system do you recommend for tracing the tasks within the firm? Example, staff tasks. Of course, he began by thanking you for a well-researched presentation. Kindly respond to O'Carroll, to James, then we will, as we receive more questions. Thank you.
Thank you, CPA Bros, Gisha. Thank you, James, for that good question. Now, when you are setting up automation in your firm, there are very many factors that you need to consider. One, what is the size of the firm? Two, what is the budget of the firm? Three, what is the risk appetite of the firm? Four, what is the know-how, tech know-how of the firm? Three, which staff are going to be used? Six, what is the budget for training? More complex, the way I presented, there are very many audit tools, Caseware, Audit Me, but some of them are working on the big firms. The budget is big. I'm told the budget for a Caseware might be $700 per user per annum, right? Now, what is the simple? So that's in touch. Now I'm going to address an SMP like mine, somebody who doesn't want to invest in a budget, somebody who is starting, somebody who wants to grow with quality, grow with all as per ISAs, from ISA 200 to ISA 700. When you're giving an opinion, you can automate your task using Excel sheet. We even have now Google Sheets. You can put your task there and everyone sees it. Somebody logs in using a password, you know? You will put Gantt chart in Excel sheet, everything will move. When it's done, it clicks, yes, it has its own undoing. But as a small SMP which is starting, it can start from there. A simple Google Sheet, a simple Excel, but using business intelligence of Excel, like slicers, like sorting, like functions, you know, and your task will be done. You can know what your task has been made, and have a good tool. I can authoritatively tell you, you can do this task using Excel, but you have to get somebody who has advanced knowledge of Excel to put for you samples, to put for you a template which you can follow. And I tell you, it can even tell you which time, which date. It can insert a date. Let me tell you, James, even Excel sheet, you can insert a date of today and the time, and no one can change it. You can even color some of the tasks so that you can say this is automated, this one is not editable, this is editable. So it doesn't need a budget. It needs your Microsoft Office, which I think most of us are. The only thing which you need to do is just improve our knowledge in Microsoft Excel, improve our knowledge in Microsoft Office, and our firms will be growing. Icpa, you have given us most modules in advanced Excel. Let's go. Let's not go there to learn about addition and subtraction. Go there with how your process as a firm is running, and this thing will be fine. I thank you, CPM Gisha.
Thank you for that good response. There is another one from the one is appreciation from Hilary. We're thanking you for a good presentation. Another one, another question is from Stephen, CPA Stephen Rionjo. He's asking, what is the price for hard copy vouchers in the accounting for tomorrow? These are the best practices. Then another one from Moses Waturo, CPA. He's thanking you, but also asking, are there free stock accounting softwares, among those you just mentioned. Then we have another question from my friend CPA John Kauta. Is asking, we would appreciate the average costs for these ERPs for better decision making by SMPs, which is a resource constraint. Otherwise, thanks for these useful insights. I think the question here is asking about the average price of buying such sources. Another one is coming from Anonymous. Is asking, where can we get the automated Excel? Yes. Doctor, those are the questions. Paul Message is simply appreciating you.
Thank you, CPA Mugisha. I'll go back up to Stephen. What is the place for hard copy vouchers and best practices? I would love to tell Stephen that best practices are evolving. They are not just remaining stagnant. As technology is evolving, best practices are also evolving. Like now, people are working on, I've seen even modules for board governance, you know? So as technology is evolving, also best practices are evolving. Now, what is the place for hard copy? Friends, hard copy, I'm thinking in the next 5-10 years, we might not have hard copy. You will go to a client. You'll go to a client. He puts an invoice. It comes to your phone. You approve it. It is paid. It's gone. You have seen even URA now is changing. They want all the vouching to be under EFRS. So, friends, hard copy is going to be minimized as we move on. As Generation Z, as the boomers and Generation X is moving out and X and Y are remaining, the paperwork is reducing. Because now is a place where you can go and order for food online. The invoice comes, boom. You say, I'm happy with it, you approve, it goes back to the vendor. The vendor ships, delivery comes. When they deliver your goods, when the Uber delivers your goods, you just have to put your passcode, you get the receipt, and the money goes. So the best practices are being benchmarked as technology is evolving. And the voucher management, as we are moving closer, and as technology is growing, hard copies are being thrown out. This is a good example during COVID. Some of the clients who are not accepting soft copies, because I got one client who was in Germany and he was telling me, does your firm accept virtual or online documentation? I had to call Mark and ask what's the situation on that. So even Icpa has to change and bring best practices. E-signature, we have seen laws coming for e-data, e-signature. So friends, hard copies are going to change. Now is a point where everything is order, move. Even Chikubo now has Chikubo online. Vendors delivering food are doing online. So voucher management is going to be online, automated. These people of paperwork, yes, are going to be there, but as we are moving further, it's going to reduce. What's the average cost? As I explained earlier, it depends on what you want. Case where it's $700 per user per annum, to $1,000, depending on the version, the model, and support. If you're going to ERP, it can go even to $500,000. Currently, I'm installing currently I'm installing a fast in Uganda, and the budget for installation, the budget for implementation goes way up to $500,000 because you have to train, you have to install, you have to work on change management, you have to map the processes, you have to, it's another dynamics altogether. It's not like QuickBooks where you'll install chart of accounts, done, boom, start. When you're doing ERP, big ERP, the cost is different. The lead time is 12 to 18 months. QuickBooks, the lead time is 2 weeks to 1 month. You're done, depending on the complexity of the organization. So the budget depends on the software. If you have a simple software like Excel, the budget can be as low as $0. If you don't know how to automate, the budget can go to $1,000, because automation also depends on experience of a person. But even Excel, you can get from JT, you can get from, there are very many providers around who can automate for you and put for you samples. But I always tell my fellow practitioners that you need to get somebody who understands audit. Yes, you can be good in Excel, but you don't understand how audit works. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. There are 2 more questions. One is coming from CPA Joseph Kalinda Gozanga. Has given a statement. I will read it as is. The budgets for the audit softwares would not be that scary if we could have a stand on our audit fees being charged. We have no minimum fees for our audit, and this has made clients want to pay the least. The bad news is that some of our colleagues will be available to do audits for as low as Uganda shillings 700,000. Going forward, we should set our standards for the lowest acceptable fees. That is a comment from CPA Kalinda. I hope Mark is on the team, on the team of panelists. He will be able to answer that question. Mark or Susan or any other. Then another one is coming from Blender. Blender is asking, can't hard copies may be scanned and archived, especially as evidence for findings reported in the audit report? I believe this goes to you, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I want to first start with the first comment of my friend Kalinda. I agree with you that some practitioners, they charge as low as 200, surprisingly. And I think even during this COVID, I'm very sure there are others who have charged even 100,000. But for me, I always don't want to cry. And sometimes even when the Icpa come to inspect me, they always wonder how things are done. Friends, we need to brand ourselves and be like 200. JT will charge 5 million. Then for you to reach 5 million, you need to have 25 clients to get me. So me, I am not worried about people who are charges. I have a vision for the firm, the quality of the firm, and the visibility of the firm. Yes, it will take time, but the quality must be there as a firm. It starts with you, and it starts with me. So for me, if you come and you tell me I'm going to audit you at 1 million, I'll tell you thank you for the money. I can refer to you somebody who can take it, but for me, no. Because I want to put the quality on another world, on another level. When things will backfire one time, that's when you realize that the process of auditing from ISA 200 to ISA 700, by the time you make your opinion, you realize that it's not something you can do for 1 hour. Charging 1,500,000 for all that, it's hard. How do you do it? Probably we need to invite some of them and they give us advice so that all of us can cut the cost. But I agree with you. We need to have a leverage on giving quality services to the client. The other lady was saying scanning. Yes, you can scan the hard copies and archive them. But remember, the system is a process. You cannot just scan and throw them. You need to scan, put them together, stratify them, map them with transaction. We have now softwares For example, when I'm paying off a transaction, that I can upload the vouching. I want an online automated filing and documentation. Yes, the hard copy can be archived, but we need to go to more efficient, seamless way. Thank you, CPA Mugisha.
Thank you so much, Doctor. We are so grateful. There seems no any other question. I don't see other comments. And I believe participants have really absorbed what we intended for them to achieve. So on our end, we thank you so much, Dr. Nyangenya, for a wonderful presentation. We believe the information shared will be of benefit to the participants now and for the future. And technology is, you can't avoid it. It will be part of us for a long while. We thank you for
just a small one, CPA.
Yes, sir.
I have seen some messages from, I think they've been removed. Yes, CPA Busurwa, what killed what? Everything now is automated, even messages, correct. And there is one from Mark Komona. You just moved it out before I read it. But I appreciate the responses. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I don't know how it went out. Yes, so we are ready for the next presentation. I hope, Doctor, you will be available up to the end, up to 1, so that you in case another question comes in that is related to you, you may answer as well. Yeah.
No problem. I have seen CPA Mugisha, I have seen a Mark saying that future auditors have accountant, have technologist. Sure, because we are dealing with big data, we have to be accountants, we have to be data. We have to be half technologist, half accountant. And then Busurwa, yes, we have to get clever computers being able to interrogate. Lastly, Albert Otete is saying he will show us the popular audit software being deployed by SMPs in Uganda during his presentation. I think this is good addition and I appreciate your input. Thank you very much for following my discussion. Thank you very much, CPA Mugisha. I sign out. I'll be around up to 1.
Yeah, thank you so much, Doctor. All the best. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the next presenter. The next presenter is, allow me share the screen. The next presenter is Mr. Noah Baalenssanvu. For your information, Noah is presenting on blockchain and audit. What next for an agile CPA firm? Noah has extensive experience in technology space in the region. Noah is currently the National Information Security Advisory Group chairman and also a strategic leader at Crypto Savannah. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together wherever we are to welcome Noah for the wonderful session. Now, Noah, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. I hope I am coming in clearly.
Yes, you may share the screen.
Okay, so I have notes. I don't have a PPT, so I'm just going to share from my notes. I will share as per the topic. I'm going to be speaking particularly on technology and particularly blockchain and its role for the CPA and how professionals such as yourselves can pivot and take advantage of these new technologies to improve your profession. Thank you for the introduction, Ambrose. It's always a pleasure to be speaking to CPAs. Icpa has been a friend for a very long time. I've been speaking at your events even close to the last 7 to 8 years. So I'm quite familiar in the space. I consider myself an honorary CPA. So thank you once again for the opportunity. And I'm going to share some of the thoughts that I shared at the recently concluded IFAC Summit, which was along the same themes. As one of the keynote speakers there, I was speaking about technology and how it is disrupting and shaping the business and economy today. And the subject of technology, as the previous speaker has alluded to, is pervasive. There is no way that we can avoid it. If you're one of those who makes the excuses of me, I'm not .com as an excuse of not embracing technology, you're unfortunately a part of a dying breed. With the evolution of technologies right now, particularly technologies like blockchain, artificial intelligence, they talked about big data. These are things that are going to replace entire professions or entire tasks within professions. And as these tasks get automated, if your business model was fully dependent on these, on the performance of these tasks, you're about to be disrupted, if not already. I remember speaking at PAFA, I think it was last year in Morocco. And one of the things that I had mentioned was that you're going to wake up and find yourself without a business model. And the profession is fastly evolving because the technology is driving the revolution. And so speaking about revolutions, I'm sure you've heard the term fourth industrial revolution. I think I even mentioned it in one of my speaking engagements at Icpa last year about the fourth industrial revolution. And now more than ever, we are seeing a shift towards these technologies are no longer what I was speaking about last year. You can imagine in the space as short as a year, some of what I was saying as projections have already come to pass because of the pandemic and the lockdowns. I'll talk about that a bit later. But many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with the fourth industrial revolution. If not, well, these are the series of technologies that are shaping the future. They're shaping the economy, they're shaping the world today. I can give you an example. The two of the world's biggest superpowers, you know, the US and China, are all at loggerheads right now because of our technology, and that's particularly 5G, because China already has dominance in that technology, which is going to be covering the globe in the next 5 to 10 years. And because that sets them significantly at an advantage over other countries that don't have this technology. And because they have around a 5-year head start, the next company the next country that has anything close to what China has in terms of 5G is very far, and it's European. So even in the technology space, this is already a global issue. Technology is a global issue. And I'm going to boil it down to the accounting profession, accounting and auditing profession as I go along. But I'm just painting the big picture that now more than ever, technology is at the center of human society. And it's not the first time it has happened. It has continually been happening. Professor Klaus Schwab, he's the executive director of the World Economic Forum. He wrote a book titled The Fourth Industrial Revolution. And in that book, he makes the case that the world has had a number of technological evolutions or revolutions, industrial revolutions, starting from the first, which is where we invented the steam engine and the printing press. And these technologies shaped the world at that time. I can remember the printing press single-handedly, that one innovation got the world out of the dark ages into what we call historically the age of enlightenment, or the age where information was readily available, because now books could be printed en masse, you know, and just that one technology that allowed books to be printed en masse gave a rise to such an age where there are innovations, all these patriarchs of science and literature that we study about, the likes of Isaac Newton, and his compatriots, all came at the age of enlightenment, right after the Dark Ages. And that was sparked by a technology, the printing press. The same thing happened with the steam engine. With the advent of the steam engine, people could trade across continents. And that changed trade, it changed even the way things happened, you know. Gone were the days where you'd only trade with immediate neighbors. Here now you can trade across continents. And so as we go along history, that was the first industrial revolution. So as we go along history, you find that there are marked significant changes in human society when a specific set of innovations or technologies are introduced. The second industrial revolution was the same. You know, it was the invention of electricity. And from electricity, we get, of course, the light bulbs and the street lights, you know, it literally lit up the world. But from also electricity, we got telecommunication, communication through wires at a distance. So, you know, we let go of letters that would take months to be delivered. And now we embraced electronic communication, telephones and telegrams that were near instantaneous. So imagine what that did to the world at the time, where people could no longer wait for months for replies to their communication, but rather communication was happening instantly. You can hear someone's voice from across the continent. And so that changed society again. That was the second industrial revolution. The third one, which we are all witnessing right now and have witnessed, is the advent of the internet. How many of you can do your business successfully without an internet connection? It is near impossible today, in this day and age, to run your business or to run, and you know, even now education is heavily dependent on the internet. So the internet has become part and parcel of our lives as human beings, okay? And it's not only for the professionals, even education, even right down to primary education. I have two daughters, you know, and they're still in their primary, and they need a laptop and an internet connection to learn in 2020. That is the reality of life as we know it today. And so the internet has literally transformed human society. And so the fourth industrial revolution is a series of technologies that is going to accelerate us in that direction. And amongst these set of technologies, there's the likes of blockchain, there's the likes of artificial intelligence, the likes of 5G, Internet of Things, virtual reality and augmented reality, and many of them, then they all have implications to vast number of sectors, okay? And so that in itself is an indicator that technology is part and parcel of human development. If you cannot separate the two. Now, as we look forward, how is the technology going to change? Let's bring it down home. How is it going to change our profession? As a CPA in Uganda, how is technology influencing your delivery of value to the marketplace? Okay, gone are the days where I had there's a question about submitting opinions via printed and scanned and then submitted. I remember consulting at an organization who used to do that. They needed to translate, you know, they needed a management system where they could sign the documents and have them shared in real time. And they do that. They would take a document, physically sign it, scan, send. That's a lot of waste because now that paper is wasted. And I know that is ingrained in part of the way you deliver your opinion. But now we have digital signatures. You just receive an electronic copy of that document, you apply your signature, and it's verified by signatory services around the world, and you submit it. That's how we sign our contracts in my organization. We don't print. Actually, I was having a conversation with our leadership the other day, and I was telling them we're going to get rid of the printer because that's a waste of paper. Everything is now electronic. I sign documents with organizations around the world, and they're all in an electronic. And so that is an example of how technology has come in and become part of my business here in Uganda, you know, and it can affect yours. But particularly, I want to start talking about blockchain because that's where the buzz is. You know, all these other ones, artificial intelligence, you know, we have some sort of an understanding of its implication. But blockchain is rather new, and it is hitting the scene, you know, with a bang. It's on the lips of every organization right now. And it's important that we understand what its implication is, especially for the CPA. And not only for you in your business, but for your client's business. Your clients are going to be drastically affected by the advancement of blockchain. And so how they embrace or ignore that technology is going to have an impact on their business. And by result, it's also going to have an impact on your business as a CPA. And so one of the things that we need to understand is that blockchain is from a series of innovations over the last maybe 20 years. But it hit the scene mainly when as an underpinning technology for Bitcoin, which came up in the last, I think the last 10 years. Bitcoin was first theorized in 2008, and then some people put that theory into practice and then created the Bitcoin network on a blockchain. And the Bitcoin at the time was a peer-to-peer cash for transfer system. Again, if you look at when this innovation came, it was right hot off the heels of the global economic crash of 2008, where the trust and the confidence in financial institutions had hit an all-time low. And so a group of people online said, how can we transfer value without passing through these third parties? And at the time, banks had a very bad reputation because it was because of those major banks that the entire world's economy was brought to a crash. And so they theorized, like, how do we have a peer-to-peer cash transfer system electronically? The same way people transact with cash, peer-to-peer. If I have a 50,000 note, I can give it to my neighbor as a 50,000 note without any intermediaries, okay? And so how do we create an efficient financial system like that one, but on the digital age, for the digital age? And that's where the birth of Bitcoin, and Bitcoin has been growing ever since because of its underpinnings. But stepping back and looking at the technology that drives it, that's where you come and see technologies like blockchain. This is just something for us to ponder. So Bitcoin, you know, and I'm putting aside all the speculation, all the theories that are out there about Bitcoin. One thing that is undeniable, that in the 10, 11 years now that it has been in existence, it has never crashed once. It has never lost account even once. It has never had the need to be reset. It has never had the need to be shut down. It has been on for the last 11 years non-stop. And by the way a blockchain works, it's like a ledger of every single transaction that happens on the network. And it is an ever-growing transaction network. And so this speaks to its resilience. Despite all the naysayers, all the hackers that are out there, you know, people keep asking me about how they trust Bitcoin. How can we trust Bitcoin? At least a bank, you have somewhere to go. You know, banks get hacked. I'm a cybersecurity expert. I know banks get hacked almost every week, you know, but the Bitcoin network has never been hacked. Now, wallets at the, you know, the different people who have accounts on, you know, Bitcoin in specific wallets are the ones who get hacked and lose their money. But the network itself has never been hacked in the 11 years that it has been in existence. That is how powerful blockchain is. And that's why it is going to revolutionize any IT-based business. And we have seen from my previous introduction that technology is at the center of human development. And so that is inherently tethering blockchain at the center of human development, because it's a revolutionary technology that's going to impact many sectors. I want to move over, you know, still talking about blockchain. And there was a recent study by PwC this year, actually. And PwC is expecting, blockchain is expected to boost global GDP by about $1.6 trillion over the next 10 years. And this is, the report was out of a study that PwC over the last couple of years, looking at the trends, at the rate at which people are discussing and adopting blockchain, the rate at which systems are pivoting to blockchain, and the top names that are adopting blockchain. They said that inherently, you know, the global GDP is going to be boosted by $1.7 trillion over the next year, particularly because of blockchain. Let that sink in. You know, this is one of the leading accounting and advisory firms in the world, and they have come out public, and there's a whole report about it, and I can always share the link to that report for your consumption. So blockchain is mainstream. It is no longer a fad. We're not saying whether it is a scam or not. It is a sound, tested technology that is here to stay. And the quicker we understand its impact, the quicker we harness its energies, harness its potential right now, we are setting ourselves up for the future. Before I move over to the next, to dig deeper into what particularly blockchain is, I'll just give you food for thought. The people that adopted internet in the early 90s, in the mid 90s, are the biggest companies in the world today. Let's just think through that. In the mid-90s, you had the likes of Microsoft. I mean, remember 1995 was a big year for Microsoft because that's when they came up with their big user interface called Windows 95. Those of us who are still, you know, who are old enough to remember that, you remember Windows 95 and it caused a big boom. That is what put Microsoft on the map. Today, Microsoft is one of the world's largest organizations. Another, you know, company, I remember watching a video of Jeff Bezos, who is currently the world's richest person, the owner of Amazon. At the time, Amazon was a small, upcoming website, and he was going on TV trying to convince people how books are going to be sold online. And people laughed at him. It's like, who wants to buy books online? We can go to our neighborhood library and buy the books. If you look at that today, Amazon is one of the world's largest organizations. I can say the same of Apple. I can say the same of Facebook. All these are organizations that took advantage of a young technology. At the time, internet was, you know, remember, those of you who also remember around at that time, there was what they called the dot-com bust. It was like a scam. You know, there was a lot of, you know, confusion around this dot-com thing. And there was people put in money and lost a lot of money, and the whole thing came crashing down in 2000, what they call the infamous dot-com bust. But that didn't change these companies. In fact, they grew even faster. To this point today, where the world's first trillion-dollar companies are tech companies, because they took advantage of a technology at its early stages and rode the wave, you know, into the future. And that's the challenge I'm leaving for us here. How is your particular sector, how is your industry going to be transformed by these technologies, particularly blockchain? Because that is the new kid on the block right now. Blockchain is a new talk of town now. But at some point, all these major companies are going to get a wind of it. All these major companies are going to adopt it. And then the cake is significantly going to become you know, smaller for some of the organizations that are looking to take advantage of that. So just this report was a stark reminder that, look, early adopters, people who see these trends coming and adopt to move into them, are the ones who make long-term benefits. So what particularly is blockchain? I know going into the technicalities of blockchain will keep us here for longer than we have planned to. But in the short time that I have, I'll just talk about 4 main characteristics of the blockchain. We can think of the blockchain, as I mentioned earlier, as a ledger. This is an electronic ledger of transactions that is shared amongst the participants of a network in real time. What does that mean? That means if Noah is paying Ambrose a certain amount of Bitcoin or, you know, Uganda coin or something, that transaction will first check my balance to assure that I have the money to spend. It will check that Ambrose's address is real and his wallet is active. It will transmit that money and then announce that transaction over the network of millions Ambrose's credit will be debited. Again, it'll credit on my side, debit on his side, and then the network will act as a witness to this transaction. And as such, what that does is that it makes it almost near impossible for you to be able to hack that network, because there are a million witnesses. If you're to try and cheat the system, you'll have to cheat all the millions of computers that are witnessing this transaction. So it has a very high security and very high fidelity, very high accuracy. Secondly, there's no one central server which has all the ledger. The ledger is shared amongst all these millions of computers that are connected to the network. What that means is that if one computer goes offline, the ledger does not disappear, but rather the other computers can continue witnessing that ledger as it grows and grows and grows with transaction by transaction. When this computer goes back online, it synchronizes its copy of the ledger with the ones that are of the network and continues working. This is what we call a distributed ledger. The ledger is distributed to the different participants of the network. Again, this brings high availability. It's very difficult to bring that network down because there are millions of copies of the ledger. Secondly, it is very secure because, again, if you're to try and doctor the numbers in the ledger, it has to be witnessed by all these networks, which will obviously not agree to that. And then another is the science of adding complexity to information to keep the contents hidden. Encryption is used when you're using passwords online, for example. When you're trying to, when you log on to Gmail or whatever online resource that has a username and password, your password is encrypted so that no user who comes across your communication can understand your password. It is supposed to be secret to you. And so this science of encryption goes right back to World War I, when armies needed a secret way to communicate so that the enemies cannot detect what they are communicating. And so this science of encryption came up. Now for a blockchain, this encryption is put at a transactional level, meaning each transaction is signed and time-stamped and then encrypted, meaning that, again, adding to the high level of security. This as opposed to traditional databases or traditional ledgers, where the database is seated in one machine, there's a server, and that machine is the one that has to be protected. That machine is the one that the IT person knows the passwords for, as in if that machine is compromised, the entire system is then compromised. As opposed to, that's a traditional database. And that's why in my view, I feel that traditional databases are slowly dying out because of the need for high security, the need for high availability. People are going to start moving to blockchain. So in a nutshell, that is what a blockchain is. Of course, I've oversimplified it in many cases, but just for our understanding, that's what it is. And so how is this going to impact the accounting and auditing profession? A report from one of the Canadian CPA's researchers has said some of the, in some publications have hinted that blockchain technology might eliminate the need for the financial statement. Audit by a CPA altogether. All transactions are captured in an immutable ledger or an immutable blockchain. And then what is the question is then what is the CPA auditor left to do? So you can think about a blockchain in two ways. Blockchain gives you the accounting trail. So you are able to account for funds moving over an entire network. And I'll encourage us to just, for curiosity's purposes, you study the Bitcoin network because it's quite impressive. It is so simple. It is so simple. But in its simplicity, it is highly secure and highly resilient. Every single transaction, right from the first one where 1 Bitcoin was transferred, to the ones that are hundreds of millions of transactions that happen daily today. Every single transaction is on the ledger, which is today it's about 250 GB big. You can download it, it is free. You can download it and see addresses transacting. And it is there, so you have the entire accounting history of Bitcoin in a single file that you can inspect as you. So then you have the accounting trail. But even with that same accounting trail, you have the audit trail. So someone doesn't have to come after the fact and query a particular transaction because it is there. The scrutiny that goes into a transaction before it is added to the ledger is so high. So by the time it is added to the ledger, it is immutable. No one can challenge it. Meaning that there doesn't need to be a blockchain auditor, someone who comes after the fact to check whether transactions were legitimate or were sound. So that aspect of the accounting and auditing profession is soon going to disappear as more and more blockchains are used in the world today. Think about blockchain use in the financial sector. Right now, we are seeing huge organizations considering blockchain to run not only their financial systems, but we have entire countries that are launching what we call digital currencies that are underpinned on a blockchain for this very reason. They don't need, because it is fully digital, fully automated, they don't need to keep coming and checking the accounting because the accounting and auditing trail is the same. Think about a country. If your entire digital country, the way you budget, the way the budget is dispersed to the different MDAs and the way it is utilized, you can track all that right down to the smallest unit of accounting. All that can be tracked. It is transparent and highly secure. Imagine how that would revolutionize a nation's budgeting. And countries have already started doing it, the first of which has been, of course, China, who have started even now doing it at retail. China is one of the countries that has put its national currency as a digital version. And it is already in circulation in China right now on the big online stores. And that's a big move. That's a very big move. And all that is powered by blockchain. Another statement I came across when seeing how blockchain is going to impact the accounting and auditing profession is with blockchain-enabled digitization. Auditors could deploy more automation, more analytics, and machine learning capabilities, such as automatically alerting relevant parties about unusual transactions on a near real-time basis. For example, imagine you're running a payment platform, and as a CPA, you're in charge of the financials. And by deploying this on a blockchain and adding features such as machine learning and artificial intelligence, your fraud detection can be near real time. This is a holy grail for any accounting or banking or payment system. And being able to detect fraud as it happens, because usually fraud is detected by the auditing function, which happens after the fact, and usually months or even years after the fact. But here you have a technology that you can deploy within your ecosystem that can give you fidelity of transactions in real time, meaning that you can be able to identify fraud in case it happens in real time and be able to limit loss. And so this is an unprecedented advantage that this technology can bring. So, blockchain also, in addition to being able to detect fraud, can bring documentations, it can automate documentations that are highly sensitive or documentation
We seem to have lost the presenter.
Sorry about that. My internet went off. Am I audible?
Yeah, welcome back.
Sorry about that. Anyway, so as I was saying, I was giving an example. If Ambrose and I enter into, say, for example, a land transaction, under normal circumstances, I will have to go to the lands office, look for the white paper because I don't trust the photocopy that he has. I will go and hire lawyers to do their groundwork. We'll go to visit the land. Then when we agree on the price, I will have to go to my bank, transfer the money to his account. Then he has to transfer ownership to me. Then I finish the payment once the ownership has been transferred to me. So you find a land transaction, which ideally should be as easy as buying soap from the supermarket, can take weeks, if not months. And it defeats me, yet the technologies that we have are available. How would this happen if it was on a blockchain? If our land titles were digitized on a blockchain, remember it is very hard to fake anything on a blockchain. Okay, so by the time the land title is there, it has been verified by all necessary parties. And so Ambrose just simply sends to me his land ID. I then search on the blockchain, I see it is legitimately his, and we agree on a price, and then we create what we call a smart contract. And in this contract, we say the minute Ambrose transfers the ownership to me, this smart contract will trigger a payment to his account immediately. So it will happen almost in real time. So the minute he signs off that land transaction to me, he instantly gets the payment for the land, and something that was taking weeks and months happens in seconds because all this has been automated. So that's the example of a smart contract. And we can see how this can apply to the legal field, but even to the financial field. It has massive implications in ways in which it can scale. And so in the later part of my presentation, I just want to talk through, these theories sound all good, but what's happening on ground right now? And I can speak to what's happening in Africa and maybe what's happening in Uganda, particularly in the work that we are doing at Savannah. And so in Africa, there are a number of things that are happening. Blockchain in identity, one of the things that, because of the security that blockchain brings, it is becoming discussed as the underpinning technology for digital identity. Many of you understand that, every one of us has a digital identity, whether we realize it or not. Your Gmail account is a digital identity. Your Facebook account is a digital identity. The account that you logged in on Zoom right now is a digital identity. It's not that centralized in one place, because whereas you use your Gmail to access Google services, use your Facebook to access Facebook services, and use maybe your work ID to access work services. What is happening now is that blockchain is going to be able to bring all these identities into one, so that you can have full control of your digital life. Because right now we live both a digital life and a physical life. But I would argue your digital life is even more valuable than your physical one, because that's where all your payments are, that's where all your money is. A lot of value right now globally is digital. And so digital identity is going to be one of the underpinning technologies that will be able to secure not only your identity, but also everything that's attached to it, all these different services that we enjoy. There's also blockchain that is being used for supply chain. One of the ways in which blockchain is being used right now is to bring what we call supply chain transparency. COVID has shown us that supply chains have really gotten squeezed, when you're not able to track your goods from one country to another. And this is the organizations that heavily depend on imports and exports are the ones that feel this, very, very huge, the impact is very massive. Take, for example, the pharmaceutical industry. Some drugs are manufactured for example, in India, but they're, used in the pharmacy here. So what blockchain is able to do is able to bring the entire life cycle of a product and onto a platform where you can view its movement from stakeholder to stakeholder. And so here you'll be able to track, for example, drugs from the pharmacy, from the factory right down to the pharmacy. And this level of transparency into the supply chain will make it near impossible for counterfeits to come into the country, because the counterfeit will not have the same audit trail. It will not have the same trail as an original one. Because remember, you cannot fake transactions on a blockchain. And so because you have this trail of trusted data, you can then scan, for example, a QR code on a packet of paracetamol, and you can track exactly where it came from, and you can track its authenticity. The same thing, the same technology is also being lent to agriculture. Right now, one of the key things of great concern globally is the fact that people are sensitive to where their food comes from. Particularly, we are working in the coffee industry, where the consumers of our coffee is Uganda's largest export, by the way. And so the consumers of coffee in foreign countries in Europe and in America are very concerned. It's like, where is my coffee from? And so this technology is being used right now to be able to track the coffee right to the village in which it was collected, in Kanungu or wherever, in Mbale, all the way to the person that transports it to Kampala, then the person who transports it to the port in Mombasa, from the port in Mombasa to the port in the US, to the roasters, from the roasters to the packaging, from the packaging to the restaurant. You're able to track the life cycle of the entire product from when it left Uganda to when it hit the US. And that kind of transparency adds more value to the coffee. It adds more value because it's able to demonstrate this level of transparency. And then there are so many other examples that I can give where blockchain is being used. For example, in tax identity, it's also being used in business registration. You're able to see one of the things that we are discussing with our business organizations is how can we reduce business registration times to mere minutes. We were interacting with some counterparts in Switzerland, and they're putting their business registration on a blockchain, and they're saying it will take 5 minutes from ideation, from the time you have the thought of registering your business to the time you receive your business registration certificate is in 5 minutes. Just think about that. Think about all the processes that need to happen for you to be able to get that legitimate certificate of ownership. That is another opportunity that business, that blockchain can unlock. And then, of course, the most obvious place that blockchain lends its benefits is in financial technology, fintech, what we call fintech. The being able, just seeing the way these cryptocurrencies work is giving you an insight into how the financial sector is going to be disrupted by blockchain. And here I would even go as far as saying, for those of you who have been skeptical about cryptocurrencies, those who have not have been, not as in they've been scared because of all these scams and what. Let me just assure you in this presentation that the cryptocurrencies have hit mainstream. It is mainstream right now. All the largest banks have holding in cryptocurrencies. The largest payment services, Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, all are trading in cryptocurrencies. And even more as recent as just 2 or 3 weeks ago, PayPal already opened up to having people transact cryptocurrencies on their platform, of which 2 years earlier, these same platforms were rubbishing cryptocurrencies as a scam or a fad that will come to end. But now they're realizing it is something that is here to stay. But that's not the topic for today. I'm just giving you a glimpse into the things, the tides that are changing right now. And then, of course, what does the future hold? What does the future hold? And I'll go back to the report that PwC produced, and just to break down that $1.7 trillion into the different areas that are going to be disrupted. One of the key areas that's going to be disrupted by blockchain is in provenance. And I've just given you an example. Provenance is just the ability to see through a process, the authenticity of origin. And I gave you the example of coffee. And I mentioned that coffee's value is added when I'm able to trace it to its origin. And so that's that whole industry, whether it is farm produce, whether it is manufactured goods, whether it is pharmaceuticals, that whole industry is going to be boosted by about $962 billion just by being able to demonstrate provenance, demonstrate provenance of a product. Payments and financial instruments are all going to be disrupted. If we think about, one of the examples I was giving the other time was how easy is it for me to buy shares on our Ugandan stock exchange? I have to first of all get a paper form. These days it is electronic, but it's still a scan of a paper form. I have to write my details in it, scan it and send it. Then it takes about 2 or 3 days for my CD account to be opened. And then now I have to wait for a trade. It takes too long. What this technology is going to be able to do is going to be able to democratize access to these complex financial instruments. Okay, I'm talking about treasury bills and bonds, municipal bonds. All these things that were reserved for institutional investors can be decentralized for even you with your 10,000 shillings. You want to invest. Where do you invest 10,000 shillings today? There is almost nowhere you can invest as little as that. But with fractional finance, what blockchain has done is that it has allowed for fractionalization of investments, meaning that I can just collect a group of 1,000 people, each of them, investing 10,000, and we have a significant investment we can put in a municipal bond, in a corporate bond, or in other instruments of investment. This is going to be opened up, globally, and it's a $433 billion industry that's going to be created. I talked about identity, digital identity, as being the underpinning of the future. In the future now, the future of transactions, the future of our digital future is hinged on identity. And just that identity and identity-based solutions, things like KYC, all that stuff, is going to open up a $224 billion industry over the next 10 years. Contracts and dispute resolutions, when I talked about smart contracts, one of the things that smart contracts do is that they almost eliminate this, resolutions, disputes. Because we have fully agreed, the contract self-executes once the fulfillment of the conditions that we both agreed to have been set, and it does it. There's no delay. The amount was not, the check bounced, or there was no balance in the account, all that stuff is removed. And the transparency on these contracts is going to increase the value of the business being brought to the table. And that value is estimated over the next 10 years to be about $73 billion. And then of course in customer engagement, which is also going to unlock another $54 billion in worth of value. And all these numbers are within that report that I had mentioned earlier. And so what do I leave with us as CPAs today? It is important that not only should we look at and see how these technologies are going to affect our business. Some of our businesses are going to be completely revolutionized. But then the minute we understand how blockchain works, we understand how we can unlock new value, you can start even getting new lines of business, new lines of revenue, even as you apply your CPA knowledge to these technologies. I'll end with what, something that I read in a book some time back, and it really caused me to think. And it is on the history of computers. You know, everywhere I go, I tell people, it's like, did you know that a computer used to be a person? That term computer used to be a person. It was a term given to a person in a military regiment who would move with the tanks, and they would be the ones to calculate the angle and the distance in which tanks would fire their shells. And so every time they go to the battlefield, he would compute these angles and and hence he was called the computer of the regiment. He was the computer. But we smile about that now today because we have never thought about a computer being a person. To us, we know a computer being a device. It is a device. Now we have professions, we have accountants, we have auditors, we have clerks, we have all these, we have data entrants. These are roles that we are assigning to people that are fully getting automated. The work of a clerk is about 80% automated today. The work of a data entrant is about 90% automated today. The minute it gets 100% automation, that role disappears from an organization. It's now a computer program or a device. And so in your role today, are you seeing yourself becoming a device? Are you seeing yourself as the role? Is your role going to be fully automated? And if so, what are you doing today that will secure your future of business, with this new information that I brought to the table? And I'd like to leave any presentation that I'm giving with the challenge to be curious. Don't be skeptical. Skepticism is expensive because it kills time. Find out more about these technologies. Find out specifically how your particular industry or your niche is going to be affected by this industry. And then start learning more about that. There are free courses online. There's YouTube, there's Google, there's Wikipedia that has so much information about this. And you're just a YouTube video away from learning more about this. I want to close by saying what the pandemic has done to us right now is accelerate digital adoption or digital transformation. What was going to take 5 years worth of transformation within businesses and governments has been condensed, and it happened within 2 or 3 months. Entire business models came to a total collapse in those 2 or 3 months. And it's only the people that embraced digital are the ones that not only got out of the pandemic in a positive state, but the ones that are thriving. And so there's a lot that we can learn from here, and it has set the pace for how digitization is going to move in the future. And with that, I think I am coming close to the end of the time that was allotted for me. I'll hand over to Ambrose for your Q&A. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's always an honor and a privilege to be part of the CPA family.
Thank you so much, CPA Noah, for a wonderful presentation on blockchain and audit. The topic is very key for our future because blockchain will have a significant impact on the audits we do and even other practices. It's now time for Q&A. I hope now you are able to read the questions. One is from Stephen. Stephen is asking, please elaborate how those digital signatures work and whether or not the legal framework in Uganda and Icpa regulatory position on digital signatures.
Okay, I can.
Yeah,
sorry, go ahead.
Yes, you go ahead, please.
Okay, so I can elaborate how digital signatures work, but I'll start by answering the legal, his second part of the question, the legal framework in Uganda. So the legal framework in Uganda has allowed for digital signatures, and we have had it for the last almost 10 years. There's what is called the Digital Signatures Act and the Digital Transactions Act of 2011. Both of these pieces of legislature allow for digital signatures to be recognized by law. So if I digitally sign a document today, it is recognized by the laws of Uganda. And these are very old laws by time standards. I mean, they're 10 years old. And so for the last 10 years, there's a legal basis for that. How it applies to the accounting profession, then you need to look at your regulatory instruments and how they borrow from those laws to implement them. But then the laws have been there for the last 10 years. But how digital signatures work is that you have a unique character, alphanumeric character string. So it can be either made of 16 alphanumeric characters or 24. The length is irrelevant, but it is unique to you. And this is given to you by either an online service or by government. And I know government is in the process of setting that up. But what it does, it uniquely identifies you. And then you then apply that. A digital signature has two parts. It has what you call the public key and the private key. And so the public key is how people identify that it is you. The private key is you confirming that you have endorsed a particular document. And so it takes both of them. And so if, for example, if someone sends me an NDA, which is in a PDF, and they ask me to sign it, I will sign with my public key so that they know Noah has signed it. And I'll also sign it with my private key. They will not be able to see it, but the network is going to recognize that Noah actually has endorsed this document and effectively signed it. And so in terms of architecture, that's how it works. In the back end, the front end, it just looks like, you've clicked here. It sends you maybe a message on your phone and you confirm, or it asks you to put a password and you confirm. That's what it looks like on the outside. But in the background, it is signing a document with both your public and your private key. And so that's how digital signatures work. And that's fully digital right now, because you can imagine people are trading across continents. We can't keep moving papers from the US to Uganda just to sign documents. This now is being done electronically. I don't remember the last time of course, sometimes I need to sign physical documents, but that is phasing out. We are starting to see even government entities respond and you can digitally endorse documents. And by the law, you can do it if they can't reject a digital signature because the law allows for it. So I hope I've answered that question by Stephen.
Right, thank you so much. There is another one from Brenda. CPA Brenda is asking, good morning. Okay. Is blockchain similar to online banking or internet banking? Can it be used for non-monetary transactions like procurement orders and bills of trading? That is his question.
Okay, thank you, Brenda, for that question. The answer is not as straightforward, but the examples you've given of online and internet banking are applications. They're applications that run on the internet. So the blockchain is like the internet, and these applications that run on it are like, for example, apps in your phone or apps like email. So you have the email service, which runs on the internet infrastructure. So the blockchain similarly has the blockchain infrastructure, and it has applications that run on top of it. So some applications do identity, as I had mentioned earlier. Other applications do accounting for you. You can even have a banking system that is fully on blockchain. And you just have to look at some of the ways some of the cryptocurrencies work. These are the entire banks. I'll give you the example of Ripple. Ripple is, I think, now the 4th or the 5th largest cryptocurrency. And Ripple is run by banks. It's run by all the major banks around the world. They use that for their cryptocurrency. And so Ripple operates like a bank because it has a reserve and it does transactions, all those things. And so I would not call blockchain like online banking, though you can have applications like online banking run on the blockchain. Similarly, you can run other transactions like procurement orders, because remember, you're able to track the entire process on a blockchain. And bills of trading can also, all those can be done with a blockchain. And why would you want to do it on a blockchain? Because of high security, because of high availability, and even the cost of deploying them is significantly lower because the resources needed are significantly smaller than traditional databases. Because remember, a database, I have to get a server, I have to hire people around it to develop, and then I have to make sure it is secure. I have to do all these things that cost a lot of money. Yet these are inherent benefits that a blockchain brings. So I hope I've answered that question.
Yes, thank you, sir. Paul is asking, Noah, what is the impact of all these technologies on the economies of Africa that are mainly labor intensive and large youth population? I think the government should regulate the consumption of these technologies. Well, I think I beg your pardon. I think the government should regulate the consumption of these technologies. Otherwise, unemployment is going to continue. That is Paul. You may need to respond to him.
Okay. So if you look at the history of all technology, there is no single technology that has, or there's no single, let me mention it this way. There's no single government on earth that has been able to regulate technology. They participate, and in some cases where some governments have tried to kill technologies, like I'll give you an example of Bitcoin. Bitcoin in its early stages, people tried to kill it because they thought either it was a scam. Entire governments tried to kill Bitcoin, but it was simply resilient. It couldn't, to the point that then they realized that there's actually value in it. And so there is a space for protecting the application of technologies. The same way we regulate telecom in technology, the same way we regulate different kinds of technologies in different spaces. You regulate the application. So for example, right now, the conversations around regulation of cryptocurrencies is on their use case, how they are used, not the technology that powers them. You cannot, because the technology is going to change tomorrow. And you can't write legislature, you can't write laws with technology at the center. And we have learned that the hard way. You make a law, and in the minute you pass the law like this, that technology is irrelevant. Now you'll have to create another law. And so regulating technology is futile. What can be regulated is what the problems that are being solved, the applications. Okay, should we have artificial intelligence in this space? Should we have machine learning in healthcare? Those are applications of a technology in a specific space, and we can put guardrails to protect user information, to protect privacy and all these things. We can put the guardrails there, but we cannot say we are going to regulate the technology. Uganda has tried to regulate the internet. It's very difficult, and we have realized that already. You can't regulate it. We can simply look at how best to put it to use. And just to speak particularly about the youth, we have to get to a point where we stop using our weaknesses as an excuse for progress. There will always be a set of people who are not apt to change. I'll give you the example of the internet. The internet's value is being enjoyed by a small percentage of people, not everyone. A small percentage of people are the ones who have harnessed the value of the internet and are making billions and trillions of dollars today. If you look at the world's top 10 richest organizations, they are all tech companies. Most of them, about 70 or 80% are tech companies. What does that mean? That means that there are people who have chosen to be left behind. There are people who had the opportunity to embrace the technology and they simply didn't see the value. Or unfortunately, we find people in Africa, or economies in Africa, that simply didn't have the tools to be able to harness it. But what is happening with the fourth industrial revolution? I've left the internet. Now I'm in the fourth industrial revolution. The technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, all these, we as Africans have the same opportunity as all these other countries out there. I'll give you an example, particularly in artificial intelligence. Intel, the world's chip maker, did a study in Africa and found that Uganda had one of the most advanced artificial intelligence laboratories on the continent, in Makerere, okay? You can imagine, on the whole continent, Makerere is advanced in that, but half of the people we don't know. And students there are being consulted by, by organizations around the world. They are being sponsored by the likes of Google. Our very own Makerere students are winning, awards and are doing great things in artificial intelligence. So that shows us that the youth can be put to productive use by using these technologies. And these are people who grew up in Uganda. They didn't go outside to study. They saw these opportunities and harnessed them here. And so my challenge is to the youth, this thing of saying, it is easy to hide behind the fact that we are a third world country, we don't have the infrastructure. It's so easy. That excuse can be given by anyone. But in this day and age, especially in 2020 after this COVID thing, it is no longer a sound excuse, because there are same Ugandans who are born in the same conditions that are able to take advantage of these technologies and move forward. And guess what? These same Ugandans are employing other Ugandans. My solution to our youth unemployment is in these technologies. We can only build so many factories. We can only build so many, places that we can take, those labor-intensive places. But there's only one area or one sector that can scale infinitely. Not all youth in Uganda can be employed in factories. Not all youth in Uganda can be employed in agriculture. So then what do we do? But I can guarantee you all the youth can find a niche to participate in technology, because technology affects the globe and it is changing every day. So there's always a new opportunity every day. So if there's a solution to unemployment, I would say it is in technology. And instead of hiding from it, what I'm saying is that the youth should take advantage and not throwing up their hands and saying, you see, we have to serve a government, no, that attitude is going to keep us in poverty. The attitude that's going to take us ahead is looking at these opportunities that these new technologies are creating and harnessing it for themselves. And it's not rocket science. Ugandans have done it, Africans have done it, we can make a habit of doing it. And so that is my view when it comes to unemployment and technology.
Right, thank you so much for that good response. CPA Derick Nkajja is asking, how does blockchain tie in with the current challenges of cybersecurity? We are seeing big company systems get hacked in and resources lost. Yeah.
So cybersecurity is always going to be a problem. There were still thieves. The Bible is arguably a very old book. There were thieves because we deal with human beings. There's going to always be that subset of human beings that want to take advantage of others. That is how things have happened. That said, these new technologies, particularly blockchain and the others, make it that much harder to take advantage than simple databases where all our financial systems run today. I am a cyber security expert. I have been so for the last 16 years, and take it from me, if your financial system is run on a blockchain or on a traditional database, then you either have already been hacked or you're just about to be hacked, as long as there's money there. With blockchain, it makes it harder because there's not one server that I'm hacking. So for example, if I'm hacking a banking system, I just need to find their core banking servers and compromise that. And those core banking servers, guess what, are being maintained by people who I can coerce or I can hack and then get access to it. And that happens, like I said, every week. We spend all this much amount of money, and we should continue spending money on cybersecurity. But the fact of the matter is, because of the architecture of the way in which we store financial data, it can always be compromised because there's only one place or two, maybe if there's a backup, where, that can be compromised. But if I decentralize that, say for example, they deploy it on a blockchain, then I have a moving target. The hacker cannot just hack one resource. He needs to hack the entire network, which makes it that much harder. I'm not saying it is going to be hack-proof. I'm just saying it's going to increase the investment of the hacker in order to take advantage of your network. And so, yes, I would say blockchain increases cybersecurity to a significant degree. And so from there, I think the rest is something that you can handle.
Okay, thank you so much. The next question is from CPA Bernard Robinson Maguru. He asks, in terms of legal framework, how far has the blockchain technology been embarrassed by financial industry regulators in Uganda?
So financial regulators, of course, initially they were a bit skeptical, but right now the regulators are very keen on unlocking the potential that blockchain has. I know particularly the Bank of Uganda has a blockchain working group who are looking into how blockchain can be used in our own banking industry here in Uganda. I know the Financial Intelligence Authority is also looking into blockchain. I also know that the Capital Markets Authority are creating a sandbox where blockchain applications can be tested and used. And so I would argue that the regulators are actually forward thinking when it comes to the adoption of these technologies. So it's happening. It's happening now, though slowly, because everyone knows government moves slowly. But we are starting to see some signs of willingness and interest in pushing this thing forward.
Thank you. He goes ahead and asks, gives a comment that the widespread creation and rollout of digital currencies is absolutely inevitable as the international payment systems rapidly evolves. Players ready and warmed up for this direction. I think the question is almost similar to the previous one, but you may need to have a comment.
Yes, so in terms of cryptocurrencies, I mean, it's already being adopted in Uganda. Uganda already has people who trade in cryptocurrencies, they hold cryptocurrencies, so that one is already happening. At a state level or at an institutional level, that's where the disruption is going to happen even with more impact. For states, their big concern, of course, is KYC, and their big concern is to being able to track movement of value. But another concern is how ready our own local currencies are for the digital transformation. Because, you know, we still have paper Uganda shillings, and management of paper currency is very, very tedious. Talk to anyone in the central bank and they'll tell you tracking physical paper cash is very expensive. You have to remove the old ones, destroy them, print new ones. And, you know, why do we do that? I would liken it to the same thing I talked about earlier, printing paper. You know, when you can have the same transactions monitored digitally, it is more efficient, it is more trusted, it is more transparent. Why would you keep a paper system? And some countries have realized that, like China right now, and soon follow it closely are all these other big economies. They're all going to start coming up with their own digital currencies. So that's where I feel that we as African countries have not yet fully understood the impact. It is going to be it's going to hit us not only you know, within our own currencies. If the US dollar or the Chinese yuan gets digitized, it's also going to affect how we trade with these organizations, because we trade with each other, we denominated in dollars. Now, for example, China has significant investments in Africa, significant money in Africa. If China woke up one day and said, now, instead of dollars, we are going to use the digital yuan, it's going to affect the Ugandan economy. It's going to affect every other African economy that is heavily exposed to China. So we need to think about even how our own currencies come to play, especially now that we are discussing things like the common trade area, the common African trade market. You know, we need to start thinking about our currency compatibility, especially in taking it digital, because now we're going to start increasing trading with our own fellow other African countries. I don't see why, if I'm trading with Kenya or if I'm trading with Mozambique, why should I be dealing in dollars, for example? It doesn't make sense. Yet we can simply work out ways in which our own digital currencies can interact with each other. If we can make phone calls across African countries with similar technology, why can't our financial transactions behave in the same way? So these are some of the things that are going to be disrupting the financial space over the next decade.
Thank you so much, CPA Noah, CPA Nkajja. I don't see more questions. I thank you so much for the comments. you've given to the questions, and also for a wonderful presentation on blockchain and audit. We continue to thank you for engaging our members, for enlightening them on technology. We started from fraud, now we are in blockchain, and we believe we shall continue engaging each other. I want to thank the participants for being in attendance and for asking questions that made the sessions more very highly lively. We are close to the end, and on that note, I want to thank all the presenters since morning, CPA Twaha Kaawaase, CPA Nyangenya, and you, Mr. Noah Baalenssanvu. We thank you so much for making the day wonderful. Today was on innovation for the future. We are looking towards tomorrow, where we shall look at COVID-19 and accountancy practice. There are also 3 topics: impact of COVID-19 on audit and assurance, which will almost connect to what CPA Noah was talking about. Then we shall look at quality assurance updates, expectations from Icpa, and also building a successful accountancy practice. Those are the topics we shall look at tomorrow. And then tomorrow I will tell you what we'll look at on Friday. I want to thank you so much, members, for being a wonderful audience. And on behalf of ICPAU, we wish you a very nice day. May God bless you. We shall continue tomorrow. Have a nice goodbye.